Hey guys, so Nintendo just updated a few components of Nintendo Switch Online just a week prior to the Nintendo Switch 2's launch that I wanted to check out and kind of see what they've changed. But before we get started, I wanted to mention that I have a goal to hit 30,000 subscribers before the Nintendo Switch 2 launches, so if you enjoy my content, consider subscribing, and if I hit that goal, I will give away a copy of Mario Kart World. But the first thing that they changed is the Nintendo Switch Online app on the Nintendo Switch. So let's take a look at that here. So it has kind of a different startup thing here. So it says, hello, welcome to Nintendo Switch Online. Let's start enhancing your experience on Nintendo Switch 2 and Nintendo Switch. Okay, so we can see here, it does start up a little faster. I don't think the app itself is going to be much faster. That's kind of hard to do on the Switch, but basically, the dark theme is actually now supported, which is nice. I don't know why this wasn't done from the start when this app was first launched a few years ago, but yeah, the colors actually change as well, so it's almost like a pseudo theme-like system that they have here. I wonder if this means that they will add themes at some point. I don't know, I kind of doubt it, but like, hopefully this is hinting at something, like, at least color themes, at the very least, on Switch 2. I don't know, but, I mean, I guess it's something. Like, it's a very minor change there that has, like, a color by your name and everything. Maybe just to make the app look a little nicer. But, yeah, I don't know if that's gonna hint towards a theme or anything like that. But it is cool that it finally supports Dark Theme. I don't know why that wasn't there from the first place. And they've also mentioned here, even though this was kind of a separate announcement, I did want to mention it here. The Nintendo 64 app will be getting an update, since you'll be able to use Rewind on Nintendo Switch 2. Why this isn't available on the regular Nintendo Switch, probably due to power. I know Rewind doesn't seem like that much of a feature, but they have to, I guess there's like some weird things involved with that. I don't know. It would have been nice to have it on the Switch 1, but I can at least understand the thought process behind Nintendo exclusively adding it to Switch 2. Same goes for the CRT filter with the way that's rendered, the way Nintendo renders their CRT filters. But I'm not really defending that it's exclusive to the Switch 2. I can just at least understand that. And then thankfully, they will be adding the, like, button mapping to both Switch 1 and Switch 2. This is another thing that Nintendo should have done years ago, but I guess I'm glad that they're finally doing it. But Nintendo Classics, Nintendo finally updated the name as well. So we knew that Switch Online was going to be called Nintendo Classics, like, with the launch of the Switch 2 for a while. But now they finally added it on here, and we could see they even added GameCube. You could also see like the EU versions as well. So kind of like the Nintendo 64 app. But that's pretty cool that they added GameCube on here as well. Like even before they added like GameCube games to Switch Online. Like since the Switch 2 isn't out yet, it's still cool to see it on here. I like this little promotional image. It even shows like the GameCube disc. But I'm excited about the GameCube games. GameCube is one of my favorite Nintendo consoles. So it's nice to see GameCube games on Switch Online. And one thing that I'm hoping that Nintendo will do with Switch Online, since they're calling it Nintendo Classics now, is actually letting you buy the games individually, rather than exclusively having it on Nintendo Switch Online. I really wish they did that. Like, kind of have, like, a somewhat virtual console-like experience. I wish they did that, or at least, like, having each app available separate from the Nintendo Switch Online service to pay, like, for a separate service for. So if you only want to buy GameCube, or buy the service for GameCube games, and don't want to pay for Nintendo Switch Online as a whole, I think Nintendo should give you the option to do that at least. And Nintendo Classics might be hinting towards Nintendo possibly doing some of those options, but I don't know. For now, I don't think they'll do much. But then there's also, of course, like the missions and rewards. I think they moved it up. I think it used to be lower on the list here. Then the special offers. Then online play. Save data cloud. Okay, so it's... most of it is like the same as the old version of the app. It's basically just kind of like a UI update here. It is cool though, kind of seeing like they did add some of the Switch 2 information here, like the GameCube games and everything. But they also on top of this app on the Switch, they also updated the Switch Online app on smartphones to the Nintendo Switch app, which they announced about a month and a half ago. So let's check that out. So the Nintendo Switch app is an updated version of the Nintendo Switch Online app, which you would basically use for voice chat on the Switch 1. Just not a very useful app. I like barely used it. I mean, I used the Animal Crossing New Horizons app features like a few times, but it really wasn't that useful. But it seems like it will be more useful for the Switch 2, because they added a few new features here. Like you could actually have like your friends list on here, and it's like a little easier to see. I mean, I've like a ton of friends on here. Hopefully they updated the limit of friends that you could add on the Switch 2. I hope it's more than just 300 now, because I still have like a lot of friend requests. But you could see this to a degree on the app before. I think this like little section here with friends, I think you could do that before, correct me if I'm wrong, but you do get like the full list here on the updated version of this app. And then with Switch 2, you could also transfer screenshots and videos over to the app to quickly transfer them to the phone, which is nice. It would have been nice if you could do this with Switch 1 as well, because the system for Switch 1 is kind of clunky, since you have to use like a QR code and connect to a thing, and it's a weird thing, but this is a lot easier, and it is weird that it is exclusive to Switch 2, but I guess I'm mostly going to be using the Switch 2 from now on, so it's not really going to be that much of a problem for anyone using the Switch 2. And they also already added Zelda notes on here, which will be for the Switch 2 edition of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. There's not really anything on there yet. There was just a page that like booted me out of the app, so I don't want to look at that right now, but it seems like this app will be a lot more useful. I thought Nintendo was kind of winding down on how they would use this app until they actually announced like the Zelda Notes thing and the fact that they were like rebranding the app. So I think it's pretty interesting that they're kind of doing a new thing with this app for the Switch 2 era, and not just like completely like creating something entirely new. Since the Switch 1 app was such like an early Switch era thing, like when you look at the games on here, Splatoon 2, Smash Ultimate, Animal Crossing, I know Splatoon 3 is on there as well, but most of the games on here are like the first half of the Switch era. They didn't really do that much with the app later in the Switch era. One nice thing you can do on here now is like that they added a couple of years ago is like accessing your friend code, which is good, but they really didn't do that much with it until now. So I wonder if they're going to do more game-specific services apps on here. Like, I'm surprised they didn't do one for Mario Kart. It's just the Zelda Notes thing. But it is still interesting nonetheless. And it seems like they're doing quite a lot with Nintendo Switch Online with updating all the services so far. I did kind of predict a while ago that Switch Online was going to get some kind of rebrand or refresh around the time that the Switch 2 was releasing. And we're kind of seeing that to a degree now. Nintendo also like uploaded a trailer, basically a new version of the Switch Online trailer that we basically get every year, every time they added something new. But yeah, that's kind of a general overview of the things that they updated for Switch Online. Let me know your thoughts on all of this down in the comments. So anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more, and make sure to check out my Discord server and Blue Sky if you want to. Stay perky!